Caregivers, have you ever felt like nothing? I mean, nothing is going right? Well, cheer up and welcome to Dave the Caregiver's Caregiver radio program, where you'll learn how to avoid that dreaded thing called caregiver burnout and how to survive the grief process. You know, with roughly 100 million caregivers in the US and Canada alone, that's about a third of the population. That means that everyone probably knows someone caring for a loved one. Join Dave and his guests now and every Wednesday at noon Pacific Time as they discuss avoiding caregiver burnout and surviving grief. So find a comfortable place to relax, kick up your feet, and prepare to feel better and to receive practical tips and tools that you can start using immediately to get you through today and every day so you can survive your tomorrows. But not just survive, but to live life fully and abundantly. Yes, you heard me right. That is a possible goal to achieve. And now, here's your host, Dave Nassani. Hey, from LA and Big LA, welcome to all my listeners out there in Radio Land. I'm Dave, the Caregiver's Caregiver, coming to you live globally through the worldwide Blog Talk Radio Network, as well as iTunes and YouTube and a whole bunch of other places. And we are on demand, so you can listen later for your listening pleasure, of course. Our website, caregiverscaregiver.com, and Dave the Caregiver also works.com. Our goal here is to do our very best to help you avoid that dreaded thing called caregiver burnout. It's someplace you don't want to go. But we have an exciting show planned for you today with my lovely co-host Adrienne Gruberg from the Caregiver Space. And today we will be interviewing author Lisa Hirsch, and we will be discussing kind of a controversial topic. I think some people would say it's controversial. Alzheimer's, the right to live or die. So stay tuned. You do not want to miss this show. It's going to be exciting. As I said, I'm your host, Dave Nassani, and this show is to caregivers of every single kind. And we know a few things about caregivers. We know they're caring and they're selfless and they're sacrificial, but they also have a tiny little problem that they are prone to burnout because they tend to put everyone else's needs above their own. And we can actually learn something from the airlines. Even if they drag us off the plane because there's no room, sometimes in an emergency, they'll say, if the oxygen mask falls from the ceiling, before you attempt to help your loved one with their mask, please put your mask on first. Well, why do they say that? It sounds so selfish, right? And caregivers don't like the word selfish. Have you noticed that? But a parent, in the event of a nosedive in the plane, can you imagine their little one gasping for breath? And they're going to sit there and put their mask on first? Not likely, but they have to, because the airlines know that if you don't, you'll likely black out. And then you won't be of any good with anything to anybody. Now, we also talk about grief and loss here and the devastating effects it can have on us. It throws us into this thing called the grief process. Anytime we suffer loss, we go through a process, and it's called the grief process because we're grieving. And it could take days, it could take weeks, it could take months, it could take years. Heck, you could never get over it. But the reason why we're here, we want you to get over it. We want you to get over it as quickly as possible. Now, everyone grieves in their own time frame. So, if you feel like you need time, don't feel like we're rushing you. But the sooner you get through the grief, the sooner you can, go and live again. Now, unfortunately, folks, there is only one way out of the grief process. You got to go through it. You just can't go around it. No shortcuts. You have to go through it. And hopefully we can help you through your grief and your loss if you happen to feel like you're stuck. We're going to unstick you. Hey, I want to take this time and thank last week's guest, Donna Thompson, founder of the Caregiver's Living Room.
She's
a
so
show.
Good.
Yes, she was. A show just loaded with practical advice and suggestions. I mean, it was just chock full of nuts, so to speak.
And kindness.
And kindness. That's Adrienne talking, by the way. Hello, Adrienne.
Hi.
She just couldn't wait. She just had to say hello.
Kindness.
Now, you can hear that interview in any of our interviews, including this one we're doing right now on our website, caregiverscaregiver.com or davethecaregiver.com. So excited that our long-awaited third book is in the final process of finally being published right now as we speak. Yay. Pre-purchasing will begin shortly, and I know all of you who struggle with when to say yes and when to say no to your loved ones will want to be the first to pre-order your copy. And it's called It's My Life Too! Exclamation mark. When to say yes and when to say no, and reclaiming your caregiver sanity. A book that shows you how to put your needs first so that you can then meet your loved one's needs. And remember, it is your life too. So if you go down, you all go down. So don't underestimate the power of taking care of you first. All right, enough of that. Lisa Hirsch, welcome
Hi.
to the show, and thank you so much for agreeing to this interview with Adrienne and I. I know you
My
two are
pleasure. And
friends.
I love your humor in between what goes on in one's life as a caregiver.
She loves my humor.
Yes.
You know, I was born in Brooklyn too, so I know how to talk like that as well. I was from Bay Ridge on 33 and Toy, no, actually Narrows and what street was that? 68th and Narrows, and then also Prospect Park. You girls know where that is, right?
I know, sure.
You know
Sure.
what Bay Ridge is?
I lived in
Yeah,
right near
the
Prospect
mafia
Park.
the mafia put all their mothers in Bay Ridge. It's a safe place. So, Lisa, why don't you take a minute or two and introduce yourself? I like to ask my guests just who is Lisa Hirsch, for gosh sakes, and why was she put on this planet?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I actually think I was why I was put on. So my mom, I was put on this planet to make a difference in people's lives, which I don't know. I knew that until maybe 6, 8 years ago. So my mom got Alzheimer's 14 years ago, and through the process with me, it has had me start a blog and reach out to so many people. Well, I should say, I wrote my feelings about what I was going through, and out of my writings, so many people reached out to me, and I know that I really made a difference in many people's lives. They related it to it. To this day, I still get loads of people that write me. If I post anything on my blog, it's just amazing that people sometimes, after it could be 10 years that they lost one, are still talking about this and still reading this.
Yep.
That really blows my mind. That they really need to share what happened to them, who they lost, which loved one, how many years, and I mean, I'm just here for anyone to talk to and be there for them and support them in it. But out of my writings, I've had a lot of people say to me that, thank you for sharing that, because that's what I'm thinking. And as Adrienne knows, is like writing your feelings is so healing. And that's how it started for me. I was writing for myself, and that's still what I do. My writing has slowed down out of my mom has slowed down.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, how many times can I keep writing what I wish would happen? And Dave, that's where, you know, my last post goes to. You know, so, but out of it, when I do write, I still get the same thing. You know, thank you for sharing. Thank you for saying what I have been thinking and haven't had the courage to say. Pretty much, and I know on the social media that people could attack someone, so I'm not saying that everyone that reads agrees with what I say, but I haven't had any attacks.
So these people who are talking about, you know, it's been 10 years since my mother, you know, passed on and stuff, they're still grieving, aren't they?
Yes. When you said something about grieving when you were first introducing your show, is when I first joined my support group, which was probably 6, 7 years ago, my support group leader, you have to have lost this is for adult children. So you had to lose a parent to Alzheimer's before you could get trained and be qualified as a support group leader. And she told me pretty much in the very beginning that I was grieving. And I went, I'm not grieving. You know, my mom's not dying. And she said, you are in a grieving process. And it really, Dave, don't laugh. It's really upset me until I really understood it.
So how did you get over being really upset?
I actually then realized that I was grieving. I didn't hold it that way. I came from my glass was half full with my mother. You know, like she's so cute and there's no arguments anymore.
It's
and
lovable
she's like
now.
You know,
a little teddy bear.
She's not righteous anymore. I mean, all the things that I could make up what I thought she was about, her personality. So I was like falling in love with her. You know, so it was just like that with this particular disease, there's no cure.
So how did you just started writing, but you know, you've really kind of become famous. You're writing for the Huffington Post and worldwide people are reading you. How does that happen? How long did it take before you must have really been connecting with people?
Yeah. I actually was cut out of Facebook a few times. You know,
really?
I mean, that's...
Why?
Yeah. No, seriously, because they'd say you're posting too much. Because in the beginning, I posted on... And at that time, there weren't really the groups. And also, like, the big pages, like it could be the Walk for Alzheimer's. You were not allowed, no one stopped you. You just posted. It didn't go into a special site. Like if I post on your page, Caregiver Space, I move up, you know, the community, or even on your web, Adrienne, I move over to the... But before, it was just stayed right on the front page.
Yeah.
So I would post 5 days a week for hours. And really, I mean, I did a lot of things out of the United States, and out of that, my audience really grew.
What year was that?
Huh?
What year was that?
Now you're asking me to have a memory, right?
You said 13 years ago?
No. I think 2011, 6 years ago.
No, that wasn't too long ago. Facebook they were already into their profit mode and they went public, right? I think so.
It was before the woman. What is it? Cheryl something? Who's the head of Facebook?
Isn't it terrible?
I mean, besides Mark Zuckerberg, Cheryl, whatever. But it was before she was part of them.
I see.
And so anyway, so after you post, like they would just all of a sudden I'd get a block that you're posting too much.
Yeah, I remember that.
So
and they would take me off for like a week.
They didn't move you over to an area that could handle that kind of traffic.
At least they didn't ban you.
Yeah, right. I mean, I would then write, because there's no one to talk to at Facebook. So I'd get really frustrated, and I'd send an email. Not an email that you could write on. You could check all these different things, and then it would be like, why don't you read what I'm posting? You're stopping me from valuable things that I'm posting.
Right.
Yeah, none of them really apply. Well, listen, Alzheimer's and dementia, you know, take all different forms. Their symptoms and the stages vary greatly, don't they?
Yes.
It's like no two are alike, right?
No two people that have Alzheimer's and dementia, or Alzheimer's?
Well, they're similar, you know, right?
Dementia is what? Dementia is the...
Alzheimer's is a form of dementia. There are many forms.
And out of that is Alzheimer's, Lewy body, vascular dementia, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not an expert in any of those, other than...
Most people
I'm not an expert in Alzheimer's, but Alzheimer's is,
For example, you know, some people like my mother, sounds like very much like your mother, just became very docile and very lovable and like a little teddy bear, and everybody loves her who meets her, and she's not confrontive or anything. There was one time that she doesn't like hospitals, and so they took her to the hospital because I don't even remember why, but she got very aggressive there, and she hit one of the orderlies,
Mhm.
And they tied her hands down to the thing because they thought that she was violent and stuff. And I said, well,
Mhm.
what did you do to antagonize her? It's like, no, I didn't do anything. But that was really the only time that she became aggressive. But then other people are very aggressive. And now
When you were how your
go
mom
ahead.
was, I was thinking you were blessed. You were blessed like I'm blessed. Most people live, and they need to be put on different kind of medication.
Right.
They're agitated. They become agitated. And I thought about like with you, because my mom too. First of all, I don't even know if the people that were taking care of your mom in the hospital, she was in an emergency room.
Yeah.
So they weren't. I mean, they don't even. Even to this day, they don't know.
They may not have even known she had dementia because they don't
Ask
ask
your mother a
questions.
question. Your mother doesn't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And there is someone I know that has been able to. He's very involved with Alzheimer, working on bracelets. Not to make money on this at all, but with hospitals that when you get checked in, whether it's to be sleeping there overnight or in the emergency room, that they put a bracelet on. Instead of just your name, there's
some diagnosis.
Yeah, that's so a doctor would know, or whoever is, take them in for an X-ray, an MRI, whatever happens, you're not in there with them. So when your mom got agitated, she was scared.
Yeah. And now my wife's mother has it, not formally diagnosed, because you can talk to her for an hour and say, this woman's normal. But then, she'll forget what you told her 5 minutes ago. She'll tell you again, like she never said it. And then she's become very paranoid. Uh, she misplaces everything and somebody stole it. She just knows absolutely somebody stole it. So I said, I got tired of hearing the stories over and over again of how, so and so stole my pictures and this one stole my rings and this one stole my silver dollars. And so I put video cameras in her house that I can see from my phone. And so she'll call up and she'll say, somebody ate my chicken, they left it out. And I says, well, hold on, let me look at the video and see if it was there when you went to bed. Oh no, you left it out. Really? Well, why would I do that? I says, I don't know. You were probably tired. Whereas before she would say, I did not. Someone was in here and I just know they were in here. And she's changed the locks 3 times. You know how much it costs to change locks. And
But
like
how did she like being confronted with that?
To my amazement, she received it well because she
Very
also has the
good.
monitor there and she can see that no one broke in. If she wakes up in the middle of the night, she can look. Or if the dog starts barking, she can look and she see no one's in the kitchen, no one's in the garage, no one's in the living room. So it really has been a blessing to do that. So technology.
Now she's still at home.
She's still at home. She had a caregiver, a live-in caregiver, and I wrote you this, Lisa.
Yeah.
She just kept accusing her of stealing things, and she would call the cops, and the cops would come and question her, and finally she says, you know what, I quit. I can't live like this, and she just left without notice, and she's been alone.
I would say she definitely has getting some dementia. They claim it starts 20 years earlier. I mean, from what you're describing, because I've heard this about other people from the adult group of Alzheimer's, where their parent goes around accusing people of stealing things, and some of them they steal.
Yeah.
I mean, they end up like if she was at your house, she might take things and you'd find it in her handbag.
Mm-hmm.
Don't bring her over.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet some of the stories you hear are just heartbreaking, and then when you think you heard the worst, it usually gets topped. Has that been your experience as well?
It's tough, and like what you say, no matter what the caregiver is, who they're caring for, whatever the disease is, it's tough.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what the disease is. Watching someone you love. Yeah, watching someone you love, knowing that my mom, I don't believe she's in any pain, so it's not like someone who has cancer. So if there's a silver lining, that's the silver lining. But I just think it's watching anyone knowing how they're going downhill in whatever way or form is hard.
Yep.
My mother-in-law, she's really never even been diagnosed yet because she can pass that Alzheimer's test. She can count backwards, from 100 in leaps of 7. She can remember the story. She can remember the 15 objects. But she's always been paranoid all her life. She's accused her sister of stealing jewelry like 30 years ago. She accused my wife of stealing photographs like 20 years ago. It's like, my gosh, it's just getting worse. And so I wanted to ask, what is, you talk about how a tragic disease like this can actually bring you closer and enrich a relationship like nothing else can. Can you comment on that?
Yeah. I just see, my experience was, we clashed. We really clashed. And when she got the disease, something happened with her that took away these things in her personality, because she became, gentle and sweet and, like I said, not righteous. So it opened up a whole universe for me to have this love for her in an unconditional way. It was not about feeling sorry for her, and she would say things that were just like so wonderful and beautiful. I don't know what happened. I would take the disease from her in 2 seconds, but I gained out of it. The relationship. It's like mind-boggling to me that I could gain such a loving relationship with my mother.
Did you have that experience, Adrienne?
I've been fortunate that neither of my parents had dementia or Alzheimer's. I know
Did your mother's personality change at all?
No, she was feisty and argumentative until the end. Yeah.
Until the end. All right.
Yeah, you know what? If my mother didn't get the disease, I'm sure I would be saying, Adrienne, my mom was the exact same way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, listen, let's take a break. We'll be right back, so don't go away.
One Arm, One Leg, 100 Words, Overcoming Unbelievable Hardships, is about Charlene, a stroke survivor. Back in 1996, Charlene was a healthy, normal, very active 52-year-old woman whose amazing talents resemble that of both a Martha Stewart and a Wonder Woman. But all that changed when she suffered a massive stroke that left her severely speech impaired and paralyzed on the right side. Who am I? My name is David. I've had the privilege of being Charlene's husband since 1975. We had a wonderful fairy tale storybook-like courtship that culminated in our marriage a year later. Charlene had just come out of a marriage where after 10 years, she received 2 black eyes and a broken nose by her former husband when he came home high on speed. Charlene believed in no second chances of any kind for abuse, so she left. Finding herself all alone in the world with her 5 and 10-year-old daughters, Cynthia Lorraine and Deborah Lynn, she started raising them by herself for the next 2 years. Then fate brought us all together. After falling in love with Charlene, Cindy, and Debbie, our love then produced Rebecca Elizabeth. We had a wonderful, normal life for the next 20 years. But today, things are very different for everyone. One Arm, One Leg, 100 Words, Overcoming Unbelievable Hardships is the amazing story of a woman's fight to survive all that life had thrown her way. Everyone who knows Charlene is thoroughly amazed at how she lives day by day, month by month, year by year, and with a smile on her face and hope in her heart that everything is going to be okay. Her faith in God is her foundation in this hope, that everything happens for a reason, and what doesn't kill her will make her stronger. She inspires everyone who meets her. Her accomplishments since her stroke are very impressive, often making us normal people look like whiners and complainers. So pick up your copy of One Arm, One Leg, 100 Words, Overcoming Unbelievable Hardships today. You won't be disappointed. Just hear what best-selling author Lynn Barrington has to say about it. If you think you have it bad, read this book. This is a beautiful, genuine story told from the heart. It's inspiring and easy to read. When you finish this book, you'll be able to look at your concerns in a new light. How about the reaction of 9-time Grammy and Dove Award recipient, the godfather of contemporary gospel Christian music, Andre Crouch? Charlene just won't let the promises of God go, and she has not let her circumstances get in the way of her faith. She's not just a survivor, she's more than a conqueror, as the Bible states. You'll be encouraged by her testimony, regardless of what you're going through. Available everywhere, but if you purchase your copy directly from the author's website, onearm1leg100words.com, Charlene and David will personally autograph your copy. Enjoy!
We're back with Lisa Hirsch and Adrienne Gruberg. And I got another question. When do you know if it's time to move from their home to a facility? Like I said, my wife's mother, I really don't think she should be alone since she fired her caregiver. She has one that comes in 5 hours a day, but that's not a lot of time. There's still 19 hours a day that she's alone. And I watch her on the video, and she's either cleaning the house or cooking. So, I mean, she's independent, and she seems to be getting out of trouble. But she almost burned the house down the other day because she was cooking something greasy, and the doorbell rang, and she went over to talk to him. And she's like talking and talking and talking. And he says, "I smell something. Are you cooking something?" She goes, "No." And it just started getting worse. So he went into the kitchen. He saw what was going on, and so he turned it off. And her son had the gas turned off so she wouldn't, and she called the gas company to turn it back on. So, I mean, there are definitely risks.
Hide the knobs. Take the knobs off the stove. My mom was at home up to 4 years ago. It got to the point where first in the beginning, she had no one. Then she had someone 4 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
Then we went up to 8 hours a day, and then we went up to 12 hours a day. And then when they started to come in, because she never wandered, so when they started to come back to her house, they would find like a lamp knocked over, that she'd be all bruised. They didn't know what happened, like she got up in the middle of the night. And then we couldn't afford to keep her 24/7 at home, so we moved her into a nursing home. But
progression.
Yeah, but when you were talking about your mother-in-law and you said with the stove and the grease and the doorbell rang, she could have the flames on and walk out of the room and forget that she was cooking.
Yeah, which happened, yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know what she would eat. I mean, if she didn't cook, that she's still cooking for us. So how old is she?
She's 93.
Whoa.
Wow. And she's still cooking?
Yeah, she has bad knees. She's in a power chair. She's been cooking all her life. No, in fact, she almost died about 3 years ago. She was in the hospital with something with her liver or heart or something. And we thought she was going to die. She had lost her appetite. She was getting thinner and thinner and thinner. And something happened, a miracle. And now she's like as healthy as a horse. And so
that's
we
what
almost
happened.
sold the house.
That's what happened. My last thing that I wrote about, that's what happened to my mom. And in January, the last few years, I've gone to spend the month with her. And it would be wonderful to see where she would start having company and someone talk to her every single day for a month and spell with her and sing songs and spend time with her, and the touch, the human touch. Not that she's very well cared for. What a wonderful nursing home she's in. But day 3 of my trip, she became so ill that we were sure that she was going to pass away. It would turn into pneumonia. We got hospice involved. It was a really, really hard time for me, because what I did every single day was pray that she would pass away. And I would go into the room with a mask on. And my mom never, ever, ever caught colds from my father, us, the flu. She 93, she's on no medication. She's so healthy. If it wasn't for the Alzheimer's and macular degeneration, she's healthier than healthy.
Wow.
So that trip for me was, and every year I went, I would write every day after I saw her different kind of feelings, sadness, happiness. It was a great visit. She was good. She was, full. And then there were times where she wasn't having a good moment. But this trip, every single day that I wrote, when I reread what I wrote, was the same thing. And what it was wanting her. I know that she wouldn't want to be alive like that, Yeah. It was pitiful. And so what? She doesn't get pneumonia. She is back to herself. They tell me she's doing better than ever, Dave, like your mother-in-law. And so I stopped praying. I'm serious. I stopped praying because, when the time comes, the time will come. So I lightened up out of that.
Yeah. Well, my mother-in-law doesn't act like someone who has dementia. She just acts like, 10-second Tom, just forgetful, and everyone's stealing stuff from her. And that's why she can still cook. She can still, function. She can still, read the mail and stuff like that, and still have a conversation for an hour or 2 or 3 with people on the phone. And it's and she can con the doctor into thinking that she doesn't have dementia, and so
she remembers names and all of that.
She does. Oh, she can tell you stories like an elephant. She doesn't forget, especially who took this and who took that. But literally 5 minutes. That movie with
Bill Murray?
10-second Tom. It was Drew Barrymore. She had an accident.
Yes.
They kept, she had like 24 hours memory, and then it would all go away. I'd say she has about a 5-minute memory, just of something that happened right then and there, because she keeps repeating herself. And I don't know if it's getting worse or if it's just kind of staying the same, but she's adamant she doesn't want to leave. So there's going to be a fight coming up because her son, who lives in Minnesota, is saying that we got to get her out of there.
Well, so she becomes unsafe to herself or people around her. I mean, like if her place goes up in flames. I mean, like I live in an apartment building, and there's a woman that I knew. She lives alone, and that I guess it was the start or whatever of Alzheimer's, dementia, and I actually reported it to the manager of the building because I saw things she was doing, like in the laundry room. I mean, she didn't know which was wash, and she said she accused me of taking her wash, and then she took her wash out of the washing machine and took it back upstairs before she put in the dryer. But knowing the actions of what she was doing, I reported her because the manager, I wanted them to reach out to a family member because she lived alone. Yeah. And I also felt, I mean, out of being responsible, that she could hurt herself. So she has progressed since then. But your mom...
luckily she doesn't drive, because a car can be another issue. There's a lot of people who are still driving.
Yep.
I assume your mother didn't drive much.
My mother drove until she couldn't drive anymore. I mean, when we took the car key away from her, was when she started saying, I went to the doctor, and it's the same way I went all the time, and I couldn't find my way. So as it got worse and worse, and there were little, like she went up on a curb, and we realized something was not right, we took the car away from her.
Yeah, my mother got into an accident. She admitted, she didn't tell us at first, but she says, you know what, I don't think I should drive anymore after they fixed my car, because I remember hitting the gas instead of the brake, and she was coming out of a driveway, and this guy, hit her, and, she felt like, I don't want to hurt anybody. So she voluntarily gave up her keys when that happened. But then she started having buyer's remorse after a while. She goes, maybe I want to drive again. I said, no, the car's gone. So how does a living will or advance directive help with an Alzheimer's or dementia patient?
There isn't. I mean, there's nothing that you can do with that. Yeah. I mean, like anything else, do not resuscitate is one thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we have all that in her will. she has it in her will. The nursing home knows about that. So, but that's about, so unless something, they said if she falls and breaks a bone, they're going to take her to the hospital to, put her in a cast. But everything else, they won't do anything.
Well, my mother, was lucid enough to where she would say, I just want to go to heaven. I'm done with this. I'm tired of just being bored and nothing to do, and I can't remember things, and why is God keeping me here? And so she would occasionally go to the hospital because she would have heart palpitations or something, or anxiety that would cause that. And so the last time she was there, for some reason, they said she was having problems swallowing. And I was always looking for an excuse for them to do something that her advance directive can kick in. And I says,
right.
You mean you need to put a tube down her throat? They said, yeah. And I says, no, her advance directive says no. And so, we had a very nice doctor who was not American. And so he was very cooperative. He says, yeah, I can do that. And so basically they didn't put a feeding tube in there, and 2 days later she was gone, and that was her wish.
Well, you were lucky.
It was nice.
I was thinking of how many days it takes and starving's a hard way to die, but that I know other people that have done that.
Well, the morphine helps a lot, and then she developed a bladder infection. You can just see the red, instead of yellow, it was red. It was all infected, but they gave her, an antibiotic for that. But with that and the morphine, kept her out of pain, and she went very peaceably, and that was her wish, and it was good because we were tired watching her suffer.
Well, when I watched,
she was suffering, but
Well, when I watched my mother gagging, like when she was so ill, for the whole 4 weeks that I was there, minus 3 days. When I left, she was still really ill, which lasted another.
That couldn't have felt good.
And she couldn't tell me what she was thinking, but I know there were moments when she would say, "Oh no, oh my, oh God," and I would say, "Mom, what's?" She couldn't remember what, but I'm sure that that's again, she has this thought and then it disappears.
Yeah. And for some reason, like I said before, it seems like a lot of Alzheimer's and dementia people are healthy, and they just keep living and living and living, and it takes them a long time to die. And I guess that's why the facilities are under such stress with long-term care insurance. I bought mine when I was in my 40s, and for the first time recently, they just raised it. I was paying $110 a month for $400 a day, which should be adequate.
Wow.
To cover something. So
Florida.
Instead of 100, so they raised it I think it's 140 now. They raised it $30. I just hope they don't keep raising it, because I have trouble remembering things. Always did, because my mother was kind of like a cross between Edith Bunker, Rose on the Golden Girls, and Gracie Allen. And just hoping that's not genetic. So I've been getting tested through these. I saw an ad on Facebook, early dementia detection and Alzheimer's. So I went and I took the test, and they says, "Well, you're right under the borderline." I said, "Oh, really?" He says, "Come back in 6 months." And so he says, "Oh, you're a little better. You're below than what you were." And then so I went like 3 or 4 times, and I'm not getting worse. In fact, I'm doing things like learning new songs on the piano. What?
Mm-hmm.
Dave, I wouldn't even take the test. I
wouldn't either.
Yeah, there's nothing they can do for you. Why would I want to know?
I don't know. I would want to know if I'm losing it, and to make preparation and just.
Well, I know I'm losing it.
Okay, the ostrich in the sand.
Dave,
Okay,
now true confessions here. Once in a while, I touch my toothbrush because I don't remember if I brush my teeth. Like a half hour later, and it's wet. No, I'm being Adrienne, don't look at me that way.
No, I'm not looking. I mean, I understand it.
All right, let's do our ages now. I'm 63. And how old are you girls?
In our 60s.
We all look great for our age.
I'm 69.
I'm 67.
Yeah,
well.
So I don't know what age this usually turns up at, but you know.
There's a lot of early onset Alzheimer's now, or dementia.
Yeah, I've heard some people in their 50s are getting it. Is that true?
30s, 40s.
Get out of here! How's that possible?
There is more. There are a bunch of people in 50 and 60. They say if you're 70 and older, that's the key time. But there are a bunch of people. Well, there's a whole family in Colombia where the whole entire family, they've been studying them for years, have the whole entire family for generations have Alzheimer's.
So is it genetic? Are we at more risk if our parents had it?
Yes. Yes.
Really?
My mother's younger brother passed away from it. He went pretty quickly. I don't know about my mother's mom. She passed away from cancer, colon cancer, at the age of 56, so I don't know that. Her father died of cancer like at 82. So my mother and her brother, but it is, we're more, if you have someone in your family have it, you're more prone to have it than, like Adrienne, where you said no one in your family had it, your parents didn't have it. So I'm more prone than my husband, who no one in his family, meaning his parents, had it. But, yeah, there is.
My wife is 73, and she has no signs of it yet. But I mean, why are we killing ourselves trying to live healthy and eat healthy? It's only going to make us live longer, and that increases our risk. I saw this cartoon of this really, really old geezer. He looked like he was 100 years old. And he was, just bent over, and he's at the doctor's office. The doctor says, "Remember all that healthy living to gain another extra 20 years?" He goes, "Yeah." He says, "Well, this is it."
Yes.
So it's like, gosh, do I really want to just sacrifice and eat dirt and salad when it's going to, I don't want to live to be 95. I really don't. I don't even know if I want to live to be 85. I just want to, stay young eternally, but those years are running out on me. 60s are okay.
There are people that live in my building that are 99, 98.
Yeah.
They're unbelievable. They're all there. They're great.
I think the oldest person alive is 120, I heard, and they're doing great. They walk 3 miles a day.
Exercise is a big part of all this.
Yes.
And brain exercise too, right?
Yeah, brain exercise, but also the physical exercise and the endorphins and everything else that get going when you're doing.
Yeah, to keep yourself involved with people, not to stay into your home. They say all these things, and we don't know what works or doesn't work, but I know that my mother was very active and walked every day and read all the time, and did crossword puzzles and the Times. So who knows? I don't know. It's good to do.
We're going to take another break.
Just do things for yourself anyway, regardless of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, quality of life. We're going to take another break, and then I want to come back and talk about the right to life and the right to die and which states are doing it and which states aren't. Are there any states?
Depressing.
Well, not if you have dementia and Alzheimer's. It would sound very positive. So don't go away. We'll be right back. Anytime we suffer loss, we grieve. And a lot of people don't realize what even the grief process is. But it could be 5 to 7 steps ranging from denial, I don't believe this is happening, anger, oh my gosh, I'm so upset this is happening,
to a form of bargaining. How can I get out of this? To depression, which is a very serious thing because that often leads to suicide. And then finally, after you realize you have no more control over your situation and you're totally okay with the new normal that it brings, that wonderful, wonderful place called acceptance.
Being a caregiver takes a special person with passion and compassion. But even you can become a little burned out from time to time. The Caregiver's Caregiver radio show was developed to help you overcome obstacles, adversity, and burnout, as well as just having a place to rest, relax, and recharge your batteries. We've all been there, and you're not alone. Now, you can take the Caregiver's Caregiver with you. Get the top 25 radio shows in convenient form that plugs right into your USB car stereo or computer. Learn the techniques, tips, and encouragement we all need to better handle the day-to-day challenges. For around $1 per show, just $29.77, get the credit card-sized USB card to have with you anytime you need a caregiver's pick-me-up. Just go to DaveTheCaregiversCaregiver.com and order yours today. Go to DaveTheCaregiversCaregiver.com now. Consider it an investment in you, and ultimately, an investment in them.
And we're back with Lisa Hirsch and Adrienne Gruberg. I don't know if you can see this, but I get beeped like a page every 5 minutes on my phone during the daytime. It says, Mary, cameras detected motion, so if there's no motion, I should be concerned in the daytime because, obviously she's going to be moving around. And then at nighttime, if there's motion, then I can look and see if she's right, someone's breaking into the house stealing her food, but that hasn't happened yet. I don't know if you can see this. Let me see. So here she is in the kitchen. She's making lunch or something. And so I just think it's a great idea if people are doing, the long distance caregiving and they've got, she's kind of in transition now. She's got this 5-hour caregiver, but she really needs a live-in caregiver, and we can't find one who wants to do it yet. And so in the meantime, we try to make it as safe as possible, and this really helps. But
that's great. I mean, I know a bunch of people that had them. They watch their pets while they're at work.
Right.
Their dogs. That's great.
And it's wireless. I mean, I didn't have to run any cables. You just I hooked it up in like 2-3 hours, and it cost me $400. And
peace of mind is
worth
there.
Of peace of mind, yeah. So, Lisa, you've brought up this topic. You wrote a blog about the right to live or the right to die.
Yes.
When do you think a patient, and under what certain circumstances or conditions should a patient have that right to end their own life? And are there states who are doing it? And what do you know about it?
Well, first of all, someone with dementia or Alzheimer's does not fall under what the states could do because they don't. It's not that if you're terminally ill and the doctor says you have 6 months to live. So since there's no time period that anyone can put on it, and if a lot of people's death certificates would say they died of pneumonia, it doesn't say if they died from dementia, Alzheimer's. So,
but if a person is brain dead, that counts as a right to life or right to death, right? If they're brain dead.
Brain dead is a whole different thing.
I know, but what's the difference between being
when you say brain dead, I just thought
or
about
a brain not knowing what your existence is, or losing that.
Brain dead.
Brain dead. I mean, my ex-husband worked for the kidney transplant program, and someone had to be legally dead in order to harvest organs, and they had to have signed a form releasing their organs.
Not just mostly dead, like Princess
Not
Bride, right?
mostly dead. It's that your brain is functioning but not doing anything other than keeping your body alive.
That sounds like Alzheimer's to me. I don't know.
No speech, no motion.
When you said brain dead, Dave, I immediately thought of this tragedy of the kid that just came back from North Korea.
Yes,
that was brain dead.
But he'd had yes, he was brain dead. He had a stroke.
We don't know what happened to him.
We don't. He was he
was brain dead.
He was in a coma.
Yeah. Or that famous case, the Schreider's.
People can come out of a coma, but if somebody's brain dead, they don't come back from brain death.
Right.
There is a medical, that is a quantitative.
Has to do with brain waves, right?
Yes, but it's not, it's quantitative. It's not quality. Remember that. It's not, well, my brain's not functioning well enough. No.
See, my position on this about right to live or die, it's not about what you can't. No, well, it's about if you have let me ask you. I mean, what kind of life does my mom have? Or so she doesn't know where she is. She doesn't know if the sun is out. She doesn't know if it's raining. She wouldn't know to eat. She wouldn't know to get undressed. There's no quality to the life.
Does she have any friends?
No.
No.
No. And there used to be a woman who's still in the nursing home that sometimes I actually had a great little tape. I think you saw it years ago.
Yes, I did.
Adrienne.
Yes, I did.
But they don't talk to each other. I mean, the ones that still talk, they don't talk. I mean, my mother walks, well, she doesn't walk anymore, although they're still trying restorative therapy on her. 2 aides come every day and hold her hand, the human touch, which is a blessing.
Yes.
And she doesn't know she can walk for 5 minutes or a half hour. So she's now in a wheelchair, but she has that. Try to keep her mobile, which is amazing, a blessing. But she still will say she'll walk by, they say to her, hi, Ruthie, and she'll sometimes say to people, I love you, or the other day when I called, I asked the nurse to please go, which I always do. My calls now are once a week. They used to be every day, then they started going every day. But I said to her, can you please tell her, I always say the same thing, and it makes me feel good. Please tell my mom her daughter Lisa called, and I love her and miss her. So the nurse said, oh, your mother's in the wheelchair right here. Hold on. And my mother won't even take a phone, or even if you put up a cell phone. She doesn't understand that a voice is coming out of it. So she comes back and she says to me, your mother didn't have a good day. She's not having a good day. I said, why? And she said, well, your mother smiled when I said it, and she said, my name is Lisa. And I laughed and felt so warm and touched by that, because if she sometimes calls me her mother, or she says she's Lisa, it's someone that she loved and was so close that she feels that. So the nurse did it as a negative, and I just smiled about it. But so that was a moment that my mother might have had a second of pleasure. Otherwise, they just sit there. I mean, if you ever been they're not brain dead. Some of them might be. I don't know. They just lie there with their head up. I know how this disease ends. So, and I know my mother wouldn't want to be alive, and I wouldn't want to be. If I was her right now, I wouldn't want to be alive.
Yeah, that's for sure. So when you hear the word dignity, what goes through your mind, both of you?
Well, my mother needs someone to change her diaper every day, to feed her, to brush her teeth, to comb her hair, to dress her. If they feed her. Dignity. I mean, it's not that it's undignified, but what quality of life is it?
They're making her presentable, but somebody else has to be doing it at this point. Yeah.
Can you guys see the pictures?
It's for quite a few years.
Yes or no?
No.
What was the question?
I was trying to share some pictures that let me see here.
Oh, so you said no, you couldn't see them.
Yeah.
Where'd it go? Keep talking. There we go. Can you see that?
Yep.
Yeah. I love it. Look at Adrienne. That was great.
When was that?
Yeah, so that was my mom's, the birthday. We're in a diner. She already had the disease, but she was still living at home and still was able not to go to a restaurant.
So that's very sweet.
Yeah.
How old was she there, and how old is she now?
She's 90. She'll be 93 in August.
My mother's age.
Yeah. I don't know. Some birthday. I'm going to guess 85? I don't know. It could be 82.
Yeah, I'd have to before she moved out of her place.
So she was kind of normal during that birthday picture?
What? I'm sorry, what?
Was she kind of normal during that birthday picture?
Well, I don't say she's not normal now.
Well, I mean,
clear.
It was more at the beginning stages of dementia.
It was still like don't want to scare you. She still was counting backwards. But no, she was we had reports from the neighbors that she would walk out of the house nude. She would put on my father's raincoat. My father was much taller. He passed away years ago. She would take yogurt. She would eat the yogurt, take the cup herself, eat it, because my brother would get her food, and then take it and throw it out in the garden.
So she's been going through this a long time.
Yes, she has.
Yeah.
Shame.
So the picture, though, to the left, she's sitting in the wheelchair. She's in the nursing home.
Mm-hmm.
But even there, where she was still able to talk and sing, and there was no memory. She never wanted to go to a nursing home. She never remembered that. She didn't know where she was. But she even went to when she was that nursing home. So that's 4 or 5 years ago. But she never ever wanted to leave her house. And by the time we put her in a nursing home, she didn't know where she was. But she also didn't know that she was in her own house anymore.
Mm.
It was foreign to her.
Did that make it easier for you to move her?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when she first got there, and for I will tell you, even a year ago, she still walked around the nursing home looking for her parents.
Mm-hmm. That's not uncommon, though.
No. And actually, I would say to her, not this year, but the year before, your mom, because you say, my mom's really worried about me. I need to go home. Can you take me home? And I'd say, I spoke to your mom. I spoke to Grandma. And I said her mom because she didn't even realize I'm her daughter at the moment, or connect that her mom would be, my grandma. So she was, she said, you did? You spoke to her? I said, yeah. She told me you shouldn't worry. She's not worried about you. So that,
that comes in, yeah. You have a brother in Florida?
Yes, I have my brother in Florida.
And is he a good caregiver as well? Or
he was wonderful. And I said past tense wonderful because for quite a few years when she was at home, I mean, he had to pay all her bills, and he would take her food shopping and to every doctor. And now he's still very good. He goes maybe once a week. But when I left Florida, like when I'm there, he won't even go for the whole month. And I can understand.
It's respite care, yeah.
But when I left, I was so worried about her. And he did come once to see her when she was so ill. And we signed the papers for hospice. I asked him, I said, please, you must go there 2 or 3 times a week for the next few months. And he did. I tell him to call me. Call me when you're there.
You're lucky you have a partner. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of siblings, I know I had this problem, will say, I don't want to go. It makes me feel bad. She doesn't even know I'm there anyway. So what good is it? That's so common.
Right. A lot of people
why don't you address that?
Right. A lot of the people don't get anyone visiting them. That's kind of interesting. Like, I fly down in between that month, less now because of what you just said, Dave.
Right.
But my brother was taking me to the airport, and when I would fly in for like 3-4 days, it was very emotional. And when I would leave, I said to him, it's like really hard to see Mommy. I said, like, this was a hard trip or a good trip. It depends how we hit it. And my brother said to me, I said, her not knowing me, most of the time, it hurts. And he said to me, that's why I don't like to see her. And I took a step, I'm in the car, but I took a step back.
Yeah.
Like, I did not take his feelings into account. That the times when I'd say, oh, he didn't see her for a week and a half. Well, he has feelings and emotions as his mother also.
Yeah. I want to ask you a question. Do you feel that you've been through a grief process already of losing her?
Yes.
So has it been
anticipatory
gradual?
Grief.
Well, no, it's losing the person that you knew.
True. That's true.
It's the person that you knew is not there.
Yeah, it's already a loss.
But I do feel she is there. Adrienne and Dave. So when she was lying in this, it was like a bed, but we would take her out for fresh air this last trip, I had this burning desire to ask for her forgiveness. And I shared with her, I'm sorry for all the times that we fought and that I wasn't a good daughter. We would fight so much. And that and she put a big smile on her face. I know she heard me. She opened her eyes and looked at me. So I definitely know she's still there.
Yeah, that's huge.
That's huge that she was able to do that. Yeah. I mean, Good.
I have a little video that I won't post that's just very dear to me. I'll share it with you in person. But it's with her, in her, what we thought was her deathbed, and she starts talking to her daughter, Lisa. This is while we were sure she was dying. I mean, she wouldn't open her eyes for months. I mean, she did. They fed her.
Right.
So...
Yeah. Well, girls, I can't believe how fast this hour has gone. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We could go on for another hour, I think. Lisa, how can you be reached if someone wants to speak with you or buy your book or whatever?
If they go on Facebook, it's probably easy if they go on Facebook and they go on to Alzheimer's, My Mom, My Hero. All my posts are there. It connects to my blog. But they can write me there, and I get back to everybody.
And Adrienne, how about you?
Well, it's Adrienne, ADRIENNE at thecaregiverspace.org, or thecaregiverspace.org is the website, and the Caregiver Space will take you on Facebook to all the different communities that are available to you, as well as our general Facebook page.
Yes, Adrienne does a great job. Both do. So just want to remind everybody, go to my website, caregiverscaregiver.com, and take that free quiz, and you can find out if you're a candidate for burnout, if you don't already know. And I'll send you a free copy of my first book, One Arm, One Leg, 100 Words, Overcoming Unbelievable Hardships. So until next week, goodbye. Thank you again, guys. Bye-bye.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining Dave, the Caregiver's Caregiver radio show. Make sure you tune in every Wednesday at noon Pacific Time and anytime afterwards on podcast To catch more of Dave and his tips to caregivers on avoiding burnout and surviving the grief process, right here on the Worldwide Block Talk Radio Network. Goodbye.